Hello, everyone. My name is Rita Marsh. I'm co-founder of the Center for Human Flourishing in Carbondale, Colorado. And I'm here today with Lisa McKenzie, who is a colleague and a friend. And Lisa has offered through our organization to do a series of classes under the title of Regenerative Living. And tonight, or today, we are recording session 1 of this series of regenerative living sessions. And this topic tonight is climate change. And I'm going to let Lisa introduce herself, give you a sense of her background, why she's interested in doing this course, and she'll proceed with the presentation. So Lisa, thanks for offering to do this. I'm so pleased that we could get this together.
Thank you. Me too. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad to be offering this course, this class this evening for anyone that's interested. Just a little bit about me. I have a background in I have a bachelor's degree in nursing, and I have a master's degree in education, and am actually teaching environmental science at the high school level right now. And I'm very interested in the topic. I've been paying attention to the news and following the all the environmental issues and problems that are going on right at the moment. And I think that it's a really important topic. I think that it's important to educate people about what's going on, because I think some people aren't aware really of what's happening. So I think it's really a critical time right now to let people know what's going on, what's happening. So the other thing is I teach meditation classes. I've been meditating myself for about 13 years, and I've been teaching meditation for 11 or 12 years now. And so I'm going to include a little meditation in this course to give you kind of an idea of what that is. And I really believe that it's important to have a spiritual practice. I think meditation is really important. I think it can be really beneficial in this work in regenerative living to help people stay really focused and calm and be able to make clear decisions about things. So I'm going to start out talking a little bit about a movie, a documentary that is actually in Netflix. And it is called Breaking Boundaries. And the host of the show is David Attenborough. And there's also another man in the film. He's from Sweden. His name is Johan Rockson. And these two gentlemen in this film are talking about the environmental issues that are happening right now. And I'm going to give you kind of an idea of what that is about. And then just know that if you're interested in watching the entire film, then you can find that in Netflix. So the film is called Breaking Boundaries, The Science of Our Planet. And they are basing this information on insights from scientists. And they feel that this information is deeply troubling. And they also talk a little bit about how we can fix things. Things are changing pretty rapidly with environmental issues, so it's important for us to begin to take some action as soon as possible. So the gentleman Johan Rockson is studying environmental issues, and he's still giving some hope. He said that this isn't about the planet, it's really about us. It's about us and our future, and that we still have a chance. And life's intricate complexity is essential for our own survival. But what's happening is biodiversity is collapsing. So that is not such a good thing. And the climate is changing. And I'm sure most of you are aware, wherever you live, that there's some climate changes that this is affecting you in some way. So about 10,000 years ago, the temperature stabilized on the Earth. Before that time, the temperature was up and down. It fluctuated a lot. And when this stabilization of the temperature happened, that time period between 10,000 years ago and now was called the Holocene. And it's been a warm time on the Earth, and the fluctuation in temperature has only been plus or minus 1 degree Celsius. So it's been stable. So our planet has been stable, our environment has been stable. And because of that, we were able to create our civilization the way it has been recently. Modern civilization developed because of the stability on the planet, and we've been able to support modern life. We've had food to eat, water, clean air. We've had a pretty comfortable life for a while, but just recently we have left this time period. In the last 50 years, we've left the Holocene. It's ended now. And now we are living in the Anthropocene time period. This is the age of humans. And we are the primary drivers of the change that's happening on the planet. So here's just a little information about what's happening. 9 out of 10 people breathe unhealthy air now. And we have warmed the Earth by more than 1 degrees Celsius. In the film, it says 1.1 degrees Celsius. I've heard recently it's 1.2 degrees Celsius. There's some other people that are saying that it's even a little bit higher than that in some places. And we'll talk about that. There's a little video that we'll watch. So in 50 years' time, we have pushed ourselves out of a state that we have been in for 10,000 years. And there is the possibility of destabilizing the entire planet with what's going on right now. So we are breaking the Earth's boundaries. We are breaking and avoiding collapse. We want to avoid collapse and survival, but we're breaking the boundaries right now. So we need to figure out how to avoid that collapse and survival. They talk in this film about systems. So there are systems that are facing collapse. And the first boundary is the Earth's climate. So the temperatures have been rising, and there's a big change in the ice. If you watch the news or look up, if you look up on Google information about ice shelves, ice in Antarctica, things like that, you can see that they are talking about the ice melting. So there is enormous concern. Glaciers are melting, capacity of and the glaciers help with the capacity of cooling the planet, keeping it cool. It keeps the Earth's temperature stable and reflects heat back from the sun with the white snow, with the white ice. So the ice sheets are melting. And so we're going from self-cooling to self-warming of the planet. This is the most dramatic tipping point that they're talking about in this film. And a tipping point becomes irreversible when we reach a tipping point. And at that point, we lose control as humans. We lose control of the ability to make some kind of change or to stop what's happening. So today's climate is too hot for Greenland. They're losing 10,000 cubic meters of ice per second. Greenland is pretty much lost. That's what they said in this film, unless we can somehow find a way to cool the planet. Once the tipping point is reached, we can't back off at that point. We enter the point of no return. It's irreversible. One thing to remember is that all of the systems on the planet, everything and all the systems are connected. So something happens with one system and it affects all the other systems. Antarctica has ice melting, and because of that, the sea levels are starting to rise. And as the ice continues to melt, the sea levels will continue to rise. Climate is warmed by greenhouse gases, and the tipping point within emission of gases. Okay, carbon dioxide levels are up. They've increased. They've increased since the Industrial Revolution. In 1988, the carbon dioxide levels reached the level of 350. That was a boundary. So at that point, we crossed the boundary, and now our CO2 levels are 415 to 420 parts per million. And recently at the environmental summit in Glasgow, Scotland, which was just a couple weeks ago, they said we're at the level of 420 parts per million carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and that is the tipping point. So we are in that tipping point right now. And because of this high level of carbon dioxide, we are seeing things like droughts, heat waves, floods, increase in forest fires, thawing of permafrost. And once we get to the level of 450 parts per million of carbon dioxide, we reach a high risk zone. There are 4 biosphere boundaries in the living earth. One of them is land configuration. This includes the composition of biomes. And within this, there are 3 rainforests, there are temperate forests, there's other forests, there's grasslands, wetlands. And another boundary or system is biodiversity. This includes all species on the water and the land. We have the fresh water, and this is a biological cycle, or you may have heard of the water cycle. This is included with the fresh water. There are nutrients for functioning of the living biosphere. And this includes the nitrogen cycle and the phosphorus cycle. One of the areas where there has been a lot of problems and a lot of change in the environment is the Amazon. Large areas have been cleared there for livestock and soya farming. And so this causes savanna lands where the trees die and then carbon is released into the atmosphere. So in the Amazon, 40% of the trees are gone, and they are in the danger zone there. Because of the loss of all the trees, there's a loss of biodiversity. So right now, currently, when we talk about biodiversity, there is 1 million species of plants and animals out of 8 million that are threatened with extinction. We are currently headed towards a 6-month extinction. In the last 50 years, we have wiped out 68% of global wildlife populations. We are in a biodiversity crisis. 70% of world crop species rely on food crop pollination. And one thing that's happening is the pollinators, bees, different species of bees, and the rest of the pollinators are moving towards extinction. And if we have a planet without insects, it's not a functioning planet. The planet will not be able to function. I have some information about bees, about bumblebees, and in some places in 8 states, the bumblebees are extinct already in the United States. Some states that still have a few bumblebees are down to between 90 and 99% loss of those bumblebees. We still have other bees like honeybees, but the bumblebees are in quite a bit of danger right at the moment. And they are pollinators that pollinate our world crop species. So there is a boundary for loss of nature, and we have crossed well beyond this boundary. So we are in the red zone with losing species on Earth and also destroying ecosystems at the same time. We have to halt this as quickly as we can. We need to get to a point where there is zero loss of nature, because we have lost so much of it already. The fresh water is like the planet's bloodstream, and society depends on this freshwater system. We are currently still in the safe zone, but we are moving away from the safe zone. So we need to make sure that we are able to maintain the fresh water system that we have on our planet. They talked a little bit in this movie about the Baltic Sea, that there are no fish in the Baltic Sea anymore. And this is due to 2 different things. It's due to overfishing, and it's due to fertilizers from fields. So the fertilizers are washed out of the fields, and they're washed into the rivers, the streams that flow into the ocean, and causes dead zones in the oceans. And that is what is causing the loss of fish in the Baltic Sea. Overuse of nitrogen and phosphorus. So this is one of the most critical impacts on the biosphere. We are deep into the danger zone with some of the oceans and our bodies of water, and we're not taking it seriously enough. Nutrients, water, forests, biodiversity, and climate. These are 5 big components that regulate stability and underpin survival. And that was a lot of the information in the movie, in the documentary called Breaking Boundaries. And if you're interested in more information, I suggest that you watch that. It's in Netflix. There's more information. They talk more about the oceans and other parts of nature that and what's going on with those different ecosystems, and they talk about the boundaries. So it's really a very informative film. I want to show a video. I want to show a short video here. I'm going to share my screen so I can play this video. This is a recent video that is on PBS, and it talks about the rise in the temperature. Let me share that with you here.
On a much larger scale. Scientists have warned frequently that we need to stop the planet from warming an additional 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels to avoid catastrophic problems. A new analysis of temperature data by the Washington Post finds many major areas across the United States have reached or are already nearing that 2-degree mark. It also found significant variations across the country. Chris Mooney from the Washington Post is here to lay out how some parts of the US are being impacted more than others. Chris, welcome to the News Hour.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's a sweeping analysis looking across decades and decades of data. Tell me how you came to know what you know.
We set out to just look at some hints that I'd seen in scientific studies and other places about some parts of the globe warming much faster than others, and there being some impacts, strange or dramatic, in these places. And we said, can we look at this more widely? And sure enough, we can. NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has a great complete data set for the United States down to the county level back to 1895, all the way through. So that's what we looked at. And sure enough, there are hotspots across the lower 48 states. Alaska is another story. It's actually warming even more. But across the lower 48, there are some dramatic areas.
Okay, before we get to Alaska, let's look at that separately. But what did you find across the lower 48? Are there patterns?
Yes. So one of the most striking patterns is the northern border of the country, from roughly Montana all the way to Maine, is repeatedly high levels of warming compared to what's below it. And if you were to look at Canada, you would see that continuing. So it's something about northern land areas we're warming faster. We think this has something to do probably with the winter season, and when snow is melting faster than the bare ground is exposed, it's absorbing more solar radiation. This is a process that scientists think will play out under climate change. Given that we're seeing this pattern having to do with the north, then we suspect that's what it is. There's some other hotspots as well, but that's one of the biggest patterns.
And what is it that you're actually seeing on the ground? I mean, temperature data is one thing, but what does that 1 or 2 degrees Celsius change mean on the ground?
We looked at New Jersey the most closely because New Jersey is about 1.9 Celsius. And so Rhode Island is actually 2. It's the fastest warming in the lower 48, New Jersey second. We went to a lake in New Jersey, Lake Apatcong, and it's really kind of a great way to tell the story because 100 years ago, this was sort of this winter wonderland where people would ice skate, they would ice fish, they had giant winter carnivals and skaters and ice boats, ice sailing. And plus it was an ice factory, and they chopped up the ice. There was so much of it, ship it to New York because there were no refrigerators. So they would use the ice to keep things cold for large numbers of people. And now the lake it's very hard to even hold ice fishing contests anymore. The lake is overgrowing with weeds that are being sort of helped along by the warmer temperatures, and it just had a dangerous algal bloom, which also occurs more frequently when temperatures rise. So it's a giant change that has happened.
It's a giant change you're seeing that's clear when you look at numbers, right? Over 100 plus years. Well, what about people on the ground? Have they been noticing a change too?
Oh, absolutely. And so you go to Lake Apatcong, And you say, what happened? They say, we don't have those winters anymore. We cannot do the pastimes, the ice fishing. That's just not, it's not something that's very easy to do. Some years you still can do it because weather varies a great deal. But across New Jersey, winter has changed the fastest, and you see all these effects related to winter. So one of the things that happens is, you get different growth of weeds in the lake. You get pests that used to die because the winter was too cold for them. They now come up and visit new places. And so you have the pine barrens of New Jersey is infested with the southern pine beetle, which is destroying pine trees. It's not clear how they will stop that from occurring. And so that's very destructive. You have ticks moving. This is a phenomenon that's occurring throughout the Northeast. And, a lot of agricultural pests are on the move. So a lot of big changes.
So across all of these hotspots you mentioned, Alaska stands out to you as that it's been warming faster than any other part?
Sure.
What are you seeing there?
It's the Arctic, right? The Arctic is in a class of its own. What people are surprised to learn is that it's actually in the lower 48. We sort of knew the Arctic, so Alaska is 2.2 Celsius as an average is what we found based on interviewing experts about Alaska. But there's parts of Alaska, like the North Slope, that are way, way above that.
You also note in your article that global warming does not apply itself evenly, right? Not across the globe, certainly not in the US. So are there parts of America that basically don't feel this at all?
Yeah, the South stands out as not having warmed over this 124-year period much at all. And even in Mississippi and Alabama, some slight cooling. It's really surprising. It's a complicated story that has to do with air pollution in the middle of the century and maybe some natural variability of the climate. And then they actually are warming the last 50 years, but that gets outweighed by the prior part of the period, so they end up with nothing. So it's a variable picture.
So just within this one country, right, there's two very different stories when it comes to how people are experiencing climate change, global warming. How do you think that affects how we have a national conversation about it?
I mean, it is difficult because it'll affect people's perceptions in a lot of different ways. On the other hand, what we found is that, because there's 71 counties that are above 2C and some of them are very populated, we've got 10% of the population in those counties. So it's a national story. The impacts are going to be playing out in a lot of regions. We've got Rocky Mountain region, we've got Southern California, we've got this whole northern stretch. It affects a lot of different regions, just not evenly. So I think that it is the United States as a whole that needs to be paying attention to it, not just some parts.
That's a fascinating report. It's stunning in how sweeping it is. It's available at the Washington Post right now. Chris Mooney, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be with you.
Now, a second environmental story on a much larger.
All right. So that was some interesting information about climate change and the temperature increase and where that's happening and how it's not even across the earth. And in some places, the temperature has risen higher than others. But it is rising, and in some places it's rising significantly. It's rising quite a bit. So that's interesting to know. I'm going to talk just a little bit about reversing global warming. In the global summit that happened in Glasgow, Scotland just recently, they were talking about, I think they had some differences of opinion. They had trouble making decisions sometimes. They talked about reducing gas emissions, and that is important now for not adding more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. It may not help quite as much as far as lowering the carbon dioxide level. They talked about planting trees, that is very helpful. Trees are really good at sequestering carbon or drawing carbon down out of the atmosphere. And the carbon is actually stored in the trunks of the trees and the roots. What they did mention, at least one speaker mentioned that with trees burning, with so many forest fires happening, that there's always the possibility, if we plant forests, if we plant a lot of trees with global warming and the temperatures going up, that we some of those forests could potentially burn. So that is a possibility. One of the suggestions was to plant, there's more land that is becoming desert than there used to be, and to actually plant like cover crops on those areas that are kind of barren land now. A diversity of plants, not just trees, not just one particular plant or a couple, but a variety of different plants, and plant those in these barren areas, including shrubs and trees, but planting other things too. And that will help to draw some of the carbon dioxide down out of the atmosphere. This is some information from a university that is in Costa Rica. It's called Ubiquity University, and they have a lot of courses that have to do with regeneration and regenerative living. So this is an article by them. It's called How to Reduce Global Warming. Okay, and I'm just going to go through a few of the things here just briefly. And this is, you know, what people are talking about right now and what was mentioned in this film that's in Netflix. Their introduction: climate warming poses an existential threat to human civilization, many other species, and whole ecosystems. Human activities are continuing to emit dangerous levels of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, increasing global temperatures, foreshadowing devastating sea level rise, driving more extreme climate conditions, and increasing threats to geopolitical stability. There is no silver bullet for tackling climate change. A multifaceted approach for reversing global warming and returning to safe climate conditions is fundamental in order to seek maximum protection for all people and species. A goal of reversing hotter climate conditions is a complex and unfamiliar objective, involving many potential risks and a large number of difficult scientific, technical, social, and ethical questions. Yet every moment we delay dealing with these vital questions is a step closer to new catastrophes and a further step away from achieving a safe climate. So here are some suggestions that they have. Stop releasing emissions. Okay, that is number one. Number two is remove dangerous greenhouse gases. Number three is prevent irreversible tipping points. Even to stabilize the temperature at 2 degrees, we would need to reverse global warming. So in this article, they're talking about some different things here, some solutions on, possible solutions on how to reduce or reverse some of these things that are happening. So stop releasing emissions. There's no carbon budget left if we want to reverse global warming and return to safe climate conditions. The longer we delay in transitioning to zero emissions, the more dangerous climate change impacts will become. Global zero emissions must be reached as fast as humanly possible. With an emergency scale response, one in which all the resources necessary to solve the problem are utilized, this goal may be possible within a decade. This response would require a social, economic, and political mobilization on a scale not seen since World War II. Achieving zero emission would demand a rapid transition in energy, transport, agriculture, and other sectors. Yet zero emissions alone would not achieve the full objective. There's some other information here in this article too. They're talking more about explorations in zero emissions, including stationary energy. They're talking about land use, about transportation, what to do with buildings, what to do with waste, what to do with industry. And these are all related to gas emissions. Here they're talking about remove dangerous greenhouse gases, and the considerations for this, it says human activity has already emitted more greenhouse gases than is safe for the planet. And those elevated levels would remain in the atmosphere even if zero emissions was reached tomorrow. Climate change impacts will continue for many decades to centuries. In the case of sea levels, after zero emissions is reached, because once tipping points, such as for permafrost melt and polar ice loss, are passed, these systems may continue to change due to internal dynamics. Atmospheric greenhouse gas concentrations above safe levels must be reduced to prevent extremely dangerous and potentially catastrophic climate change. Carbon dioxide is gradually removed by the atmosphere through natural processes, but this alone is far too slow. The amount required to be removed in order to return to safe climate conditions would take tens to hundreds of thousands of years or more. While there are some viable drawdown methods available today, the scale of greenhouse gas removal required to reach safe levels is immense. Urgent research and development is required to develop large-scale carbon dioxide drawdown capacity. Here are some explorations in greenhouse gas removal. These are possibilities. A number of potential photosynthesis and non-photosynthesis-based processes are currently being researched or implemented for removing greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. Major components include carbon capture from the atmosphere and long-term secure and safe storage. A conversion process to ensure carbon dioxide stability for storage purposes may also be necessary. And these are a few of the things that they have down here as far as possible explorations to remove greenhouse gas removal. Reforestation and afforestation, soil carbon, okay, and this is bringing carbon dioxide down into the soil. Currently, we are spraying a lot of chemicals and pesticides on our crops, on our farms, and this is causing problems with the soil. It's killing the microorganisms, and the soil, in order for the soil to draw down carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, it needs to be living soil. So biochar is an possible exploration. This is produced from plant matter by heating biomass in a low oxygen environment to fix carbon as charcoal, thus preventing it from being released back into the air. And then BECCS. This is using biomass as an energy source, such as liquid fuels, while capturing the carbon dioxide produced during fuel production for storage. And industrial carbon capture, okay? And these are systems that are currently being developed to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to be recycled for repeated use. So there are some different possibilities of ways to remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. These are all different possibilities. So that is good. So preventing irreversible tipping points. While zero emissions and drawdown strategies are being developed and applied, elevated global temperatures will continue to trigger major tipping points and potentially accelerate warming. This dilemma presents the third major challenge in the goal to reverse global warming and return to safe climate conditions. Can and should we investigate strategies to manage incoming solar heat in order to help reduce global temperatures while we draw down dangerous greenhouse gas emissions? Solar reflectivity is one mechanism that aims to directly cool the planet by blocking or reflecting more of the sun's radiation back into the atmosphere. So this is another method. It would not reduce greenhouse gas concentrations, but it could temporarily reduce global warming impacts in order to prevent dangerous tipping points from being reached. And this is called solar radiation management. This has the potential to affect more rapid cooling than some of the drawdown methods, talking about drawing down carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. This may have a more rapid cooling effect. Solar radiation management is something that is a possibility to help cool the planet down. All right, so explorations in reflecting solar radiation. So this can be land-based, it can be atmospheric or stratospheric, and it can also be space-based. So there's different possibilities in reflecting solar radiation. So speed is an important aspect of bringing change to global warming, to reverse global warming. Speed is necessary. The scale, it needs to be done on a large scale, and it needs to be done safely. And what I would like to do now is I'd like to do a meditation with you. And I'd like to do a couple different meditations. One of them is a meditation that will help you to relax. It's a grounding meditation. It helps people to focus more. We are a very mental thinking society, and we have a lot of thoughts going on sometimes in our heads, and sometimes those thoughts can be a little overwhelming. And grounding helps with quieting the mind down a little bit so it can focus easier, which could help on focusing on solutions for global warming and for climate change. So let me go ahead. Let me just, let's see. Let me have a little music in the background. Just a little bit of chanting and the sound of water, which will help us with our focus on the planet and on our water. And so wherever you're at, as you're watching this video, watching this class, allow yourself to be comfortable wherever you're sitting. Both feet on the floor, unless you're sitting on the floor, and close your eyes if you'd like to do that. And allow your mind to focus. Allow your mind to focus on your breath. Focus on your breathing as you breathe in slowly and deeply. And any thoughts that come up during this meditation, when you realize that you're thinking about something, just allow that thought to drift away. And bring your focus back to the meditation, back to focusing on your breath right now. And as you breathe in, feel the breath that you're breathing in, knowing that this breath is a breath of life. And as you exhale, be aware of the feeling of your breath as you exhale, releasing any worries or concerns of the day. Feeling those worries and concerns flowing out of your body. Feel your body relaxing a little bit more with each breath. Allowing yourself to settle down into where you're sitting. And as you take one more nice deep breath, very slowly and gently bring your focus to the base of your spine, right where you're sitting. At the base of your spine, allow your mind to focus on feeling, focus on an image of a beautiful golden flower. This flower, maybe a rose, maybe a daisy, a sunflower, any golden flower that you choose. And as you focus on this flower, feel and imagine this beautiful golden flower opening up wider and wider, at least 2 to 3 feet in diameter. A golden flower that is filled with life. It's soft and silky. A golden flower that is glowing with golden light. With rays of golden light flowing down from this flower, flowing down through where you're sitting, rays of golden light flowing down through the floor, flowing down into the earth, coming like golden roots of light that are flowing further and further down into the earth. Roots of light that are spreading out within the earth. Golden roots of light flowing all the way down to the very center of the earth. Grounding you down into the earth. Feel yourself grounded, connected with Mother Earth. And as you feel grounded, feel yourself safe and secure. Feel yourself with clarity of thought as you feel grounded. Very slowly and gently now, as you continue to feel grounded, slowly and gently begin to bring your focus back into the room where you are. Coming back slowly, gently, easily. And only when you're ready, slowly and gently open your eyes. And that is a wonderful meditation to do first thing in the morning, to help you feel grounded in your day, in your morning. It's a great meditation to do if you're feeling kind of scattered or your mind is racing with thoughts. It's a great way to calm your mind down. It's also a great meditation to use if you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you can't go back to sleep, and because your mind is thinking about things. It's a great way to fall back asleep. So it is a nice tool to use. I'm going to guide you through another meditation. And this one is, this one has to do with connecting the mind, okay, with the heart, quieting the mind and connecting the mind in the area of the third eye, the pineal gland, connecting it with the heart, which is the place of feeling. And then we're going to go into a place of feeling some emotion. So we've had a lot of different things happening in the world over the last couple of years, and it's bringing up a lot of emotion for people. There's a lot of fear that people have. Some people are feeling hopeless. Some people are angry about some of the things going on. Some people are sad. There's a lot of emotion that people are experiencing. That emotion can affect decisions that we make. And if we can heal some of that emotion, then we're also able to have more clarity with our clarity, feeling positive things like love and peace and joy. And our thoughts become more clear also if they're not clouded over with emotion. The emotion actually comes from our early childhood, a time between the ages of 0 and about 7 years of age. And this is the time when we take on our programming from our environment, from the people in our environment. It becomes a pattern of ours. The emotion becomes kind of stuck in our bodies, in the tissues and the cells in our bodies. And we hold on to that emotion. And then sometimes we live our lives from that emotion that we're holding on to. This is a way to heal that emotion. You don't have to remember what happened when you were young. You just need to be able to feel the emotion and where it's at in your body. So I'm going to walk you through this meditation so that you are able to see how it's done. And the most important thing is to find a place in your body where the emotion is and identify what the emotion is. Just feel it. And then we're going to work on releasing that emotion or clearing it. Some of the emotions that I'm talking about are fear, unworthiness, sadness, grief, frustration is a big one, anger, rage, resentment, guilt, shame, disappointment, rejection. These are all different emotions. There's even more than that, but those are some of the bigger ones. So just follow along with me in this meditation, and I will guide you through it. I've been doing this meditation for about 13 years, and it has made a huge difference in my life. All right. So once again, make sure that you are comfortable the way that you're sitting. Go ahead and close your eyes as soon as you're ready. And with your eyes closed, once again, allow your mind to become still as your mind focuses on your breath. And once again, any thoughts that you have that come up and you realize you're thinking about something, just allow those thoughts to drift away. Bring your focus back to your breath or back to the meditation. Focusing on your breath as you breathe in slowly and deeply, breathing all the way down into your abdomen, deep breathing, deep and slow. And as you breathe in deeply and slowly, feel your body relaxing even more. Breathing in a breath of life, breathing out any worries, any concerns. Focusing just on this moment that's happening right now while you're breathing. Taking one more nice deep breath. Bring your focus now to the very center of your head, straight back behind your eyebrows, about halfway back in your head. There is a gland called the pineal gland, which is close to the pituitary gland. This gland, the pineal gland, is also called the third eye. Also called the seat of the soul. Focus there in that very center place in your head. And as you focus there, feel and imagine the presence of golden light. Golden light that is shining brightly. Golden light increasing and shining out into your head. Filling your brain, filling the waters of your brain, the waters of your mind, becoming golden waters. And say to yourself the word stillness. And these golden glowing waters of your mind, of your brain, become perfectly still. There's no ripples, no movement, only stillness. Bringing your focus back to the pineal gland, the third eye. The golden light is glowing like sunlight. And allow this golden light to flow from that center point within your head down to your heart, like a river of golden light flowing down. Golden light that is flowing into your heart. Filling your heart more and more with light. This is the place of feeling, the feeling nature of your heart. And the golden light flowing into your heart is love. Feel the presence of love within your heart. Your heart that is filled more and more with light. Now focus on your body. And find a place in your body where there may be some tension, maybe a feeling of stress, tightness. Maybe a place where there's discomfort, pain. Maybe a place in your body where you've been sick or ill. There's some disease present. It may just be a place in your body where you're drawn to go. If there's more than one place in your body, choose one location that stands out for you the most and focus your mind there, in that one place in your body. And as you focus your mind there, focus your mind on feeling. Focus on feeling emotion in that part of your body. trusting what you're feeling, knowing that you cannot be wrong with what you're feeling, with the emotion that you're feeling there. And as you feel the emotion, feel and imagine the presence of a room in that part of your body, a room that is dark, filled with emotion, filled with the emotion that you're feeling. Now bringing your focus back to your heart that is filled with light, with golden light and love. And allow that golden light to flow from your heart to that room in your body. Like a river of golden light, continuously flowing from your heart, flowing to that room that is dark, showering the room with golden light. Golden light that is flowing in through the windows of the room, flowing into the door of the room. And the room is beginning to fill with golden light. Fill with light. And as the room fills more and more with golden light, the darkness, the emotion in the room is being washed away, being replaced by golden light and love. More and more golden light is flowing into the room, filling the corners of the room, filling the crevices, washing the emotion away, clearing the emotion from the room. As this light fills the room, the light is moving and flowing. The light is alive, it's filled with life, bringing life and love to the cells in that part of your body. The cells in that part of your body are feeling refreshed, they're feeling renewed, healed. This beautiful golden light that is love, loving that part of your body. This is a form of self-love. You are loving yourself. You're bringing life to that part of you. And as you feel that presence of light, it's glowing and illuminating, that golden light that is love in that part of your body, very slowly and gently now, begin to bring your focus back. Coming back slowly, gently, easily, back into this room or the room that you're in. And only when you're ready, in your own time, you slowly and gently open your eyes. that is a meditation that you can do anytime. You can do it anytime that you want to meditate. It's nice to make meditation a daily practice. It's something that will definitely change your life if you do. Also, the emotional clearing part that I just did is a nice way to clear any emotion that you have coming up. If you are out in the world, you're at work, even at home with your family, whatever's going on, and you realize that you're feeling angry or you're feeling fearful, or you're feeling not good enough, or you may be feeling sad, whatever the emotion is, that is a way to clear the emotion, to heal it. And once the emotion is cleared from your body, then it doesn't come back. So give that a try if you'd like. I have really enjoyed being here with you, teaching this information to you in this class, and I'm hoping that this has been helpful to you. There will be some more classes coming up that are part of this series, Regenerative Living, that will cover different aspects of regeneration. We'll talk some about soil health. We'll do a little bit more meditations. And so please feel free to join me at another time. I would really be honored to have you do that. Thank you so much. To contact me about information about these regenerative living courses, classes in person, you can send me an email. My email address is McKenzie, it's MCKEN, the letter Z as in zebra, IE, the number 1, light, LIGHT, @gmail.com. And just send me an email letting me know that you may be interested in one of the classes or maybe the entire course. Here are some of the other classes that are part of this course. The one that we just talked about now was climate change. There is a class called soil health. There's one on nutrition, one on water and drought, on regenerative consumerism and self-care. And there's one called Global Regeneration Corp and Other Solutions. And the Global Regeneration Corp is put on by Jim Garrison and Ubiquity University. And it has to do with people working together in groups to find ways to reverse some of these different things, or to stop the progress of things like climate change and water pollution and improving soil health. They are creating small groups of people all over the globe, like 6 to 8 people in a group. We have started one here actually in Carbondale. And we would love to have you join if you're interested in working on some ways to improve the environmental issues that are taking place. So please reach out and send me an email. I would love to hear from you. And if you're interested in a particular subject that I mentioned, or more than one or all of them, please let me know, and we can schedule some courses. Thank you so much.